Welcome to LPS Academic Spotlight. I'm Christopher Hand, Director of Assessment, and this week we have a special guest, and that special guest is Assistant Principal of Lewis and Clark Elementary, home of the Trailblazers, Mrs. Katie Lawson. Mrs. Katie Lawson, come on up to the microphone. How you doing
Yes.
today?
Hello. Thank you.
It,
Glad to be here.
Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to have you here because we just finished up some PD with your third, fourth, and fifth grade teachers about the grade level assessment, and you showed a wonderful PowerPoint to really go along with that PD. Can you share that with us today a little bit?
Yes, definitely. We'd be glad to. So what we decided to do this morning is as we continue to gather information about the grade level assessment, we wanted to make sure that we were communicating what we know with our teachers when we know it. But as we know, Christopher, things are changing constantly. So
Yes.
as you listen to our screencast today, please just keep in mind that this is as we know it today. So
Well, and we know with the grade level assessments from the state, there's been more changes to it than a four-act play of Macbeth. So let's just move forward with what we have right now. So I'm going to try and do that. Here we go. Okay, so first of all, Katie did a great job about talking about the time frame. And Katie, why don't you go ahead and take the mouse and show them what you were talking
yeah,
about there.
definitely. So basically, we just wanted to make sure that people have the dates. We're going to begin the third grade assessment the week of April 20th. They will do the two sections that they've done in the past with the math and the ELA. Our fourth grade assessments will begin the week of April 27th. Again, two sections, math and ELA. And then our fifth grade teachers will begin their testing the week of May 4th. Now, granted, they have 8 sections, so May 8th may not be the end date. We have Christopher, the way that he has helped create the schedule, we have some extra time there. So if we need to go through the 15th, we're able to do that.
So if you're in another building and you're listening to this LPS Spotlight, definitely you can go past the 8th. We actually made it so that fifth grade would be May 4th to May 8th, so we can actually go to the 15th. And Lewis and Clark is probably thinking about that, right?
Yeah, we just want to take the time that our kids need, so
Exactly.
for sure.
Go ahead.
So
Okay.
that is the time frame we shared, and then we went ahead and just shared a little bit about grade level blueprints.
And so the grade level blueprints, as you go in this wonderful PowerPoint, she gave a link to her staff, Katie did. But what you can do is you can actually go to the DESE site. Oh, I went there a little too fast. Oh, DESE homepage, okay? And when you go to the DESE homepage, you can type in the word assessment. And then you would click find. And when it brings you to assessment, you would click on the first area of your search. And right there, you would click on grade level. Katie, that's where you would go.
Yeah, so grade level, of course, is our third, fourth, fifth, and sixth and seventh. Oh,
and
eighth.
Yeah. And so, and that's what pretty much MAP is, the whole umbrella. Now it's grade level, and then you have EOC, and you have all these wonderful things: MAP A, NAEP, ACT, all this great stuff. But all the way down here, Katie, we were looking at this today. The resources area is something called the assessment blueprint, and I'm actually going to open that up here for you so you can talk a little bit further about that.
Yeah, so basically the blueprint just kind of gives us a breakdown of where these questions are coming from. So you'll see that we have our claims over here, the category within that claim, and then the point range or the number of questions, and then you have your total for each of the content areas. So as you can see for ELA, third grade, there's going to be a total range of 44 points from the ELA.
Wonderful, Katie. Is this something that is very beneficial to your team today as we were going through it?
Yeah, we just feel like it helps our teachers kind of realize where some of these things are coming from. Obviously, we're going to teach all the things that our kids need to know, but there's certain places that need a little more emphasis, and this kind of helps us paint that picture.
You know, also in the resources area on the grade level assessment site, you can go to manuals and training right now as a teacher. And did you know you can actually open up the examiner training right now? And you can do that. Well, yeah. I was surprised too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we had planned this, you know. And so you click on the examiner training, and you can go through that with your grade level team or your yourself while you're sitting at home alone on a Friday night.
Definitely.
So if we go back to your PowerPoint, which is over here, talk about a little bit. I'll go back to presentation mode. Oops, what did I do there, Katie?
Oh, you're good. Just
there we go.
Okay. There we go. All right, so the next thing we kind of talked about was just the timing guidelines and schedule. Remember, at the beginning of our slide, we said that this was as we know of it today. So when Dr. Palmer and I created this slideshow a few weeks ago, the computer test was still planning to be computer adaptive. So Christopher, you want to tell us our newest update with that?
Well, the computer adaptive test, otherwise known as the CAT, let's do it.
CAT.
Meow. Yeah. Every time I say cat, you always meow. That's awesome. But it's no longer happening with the state. Okay, so what we have is something called fixed form, where fixed form is three different versions of the test, but it's not adaptive. So there might be a fixed form A, B, or C, or whatever they're going to call it, but there's just three different forms of it. And it will have the same number of questions, the same type of questions, but maybe in a different order, in a different
Right.
way.
So kids sitting next to one another, there's a good chance they won't have the same test that they're looking at, but they're all going to have the same questions at some point.
Hmm.
So we said that things change, so obviously it's no longer adaptive. But one thing that has not changed up to this point was the estimated time, correct?
Yes, and so you're looking at anywhere from ELA for about an hour and a half for the fixed form section. Then you have for performance tasks 1 hour per part. So it's a
And
two
two
session.
parts.
So it's two parts. So it's 2 hours. One
Yeah.
plus one is two. But we do know also in science though for fifth and eighth grade you have up to 8 sessions. It could take up to a total of almost 10 hours. So kind of like watching the Titanic movie twice.
Yeah, I know
Leonardo is
that.
going to drown twice. But anyway, as we move forward. Let's talk a little bit about the tutorials
Yeah.
here.
So a few weeks ago, Christopher sent out an email that kind of gave us the little screencast he did on how to get out to eDirect. And a few of our teachers have really embraced that and taken their kids out there. So we feel like the things that they're doing are really helping their kids prepare for like a format of the assessment. So Christopher and I thought it would be helpful for you guys to see how to get there as well.
So definitely where you're going to go is a site called eDirect, and how you can do that. I'm going to show you how to do that through Google, and we'll just go right here. We'll go right here up to the top, and what we're going to type in is Google. Yep. And in Google, what we will type is eDirect Missouri. And once you type eDirect Missouri, you will come to the site in which this is open to everybody. So your kids can get on this, parents can get on this, so on and so forth. But the online tools training is at the bottom. You need to make sure you're in Google Chrome. So when you click on eDirect and you open it here, it'll give you an online tools training to the summative assessment. So you click on online tools training, and then ELA, math, science, and science practice items are actually open now. So you can go in there. So we're going to get crazy. We'll go to science, and we'll choose grades 3 through
Actually,
5.
we're going to go to math, it looks like.
Oh, that's math.
Yeah, it starts with an M.
You passed the
Yeah.
test. Very good. So standard. And as we go through this is something that you can do with your group, but talk a little bit about how your fifth grade group has used this site.
Right. So our fifth grade has opened this up for their students, kind of taught their students how to get there. And then even at parent-teacher conferences, one of their stations was students showing their kids what the new format would look like. And so that's the greatest thing about eDirect is it's going to give you some sample questions, but truly through these questions you can teach test-taking skills within this network.
So once you get to this part, it gives you a username and password. You actually put that in here, click sign in. It lets you in. This is exactly how it's going to look for the student. You would review this with your students as a whole group to start probably, and then let them go individually. They would click grades 3 through 5, math, not science because we're in the math section.
Yes.
And then it gives you a picture of 3 objects. And once these objects come up, so we have 3 balls here. There's 3 different colors. This should look good on your screen. Once you see that, you click next, and then you begin the navigation section. Talk a little bit about the navigation section.
Right, and so honestly, these are where you're going to teach those test-taking skills. So you need to teach kids, of course, next they'll be able to figure out, but then what does it mean if you flag a test? When you click end test, what does that look like? When you see the little arrow, like teaching kids that then if you click on that, you're going to see more options. So really, this is just going back to that test-taking format. And then if you click next here, you're going to see there's even some other things where you can cross things off, which is a pretty big one. You know, you have your pointer, and then if you go on, you can see that there's a highlighter, there's your sticky note, you have your magnifying glass. So it's really teaching kids the tools that are there so that they can use those when the actual test comes.
This is a big one here, line grid. It gives you a grid that you can use throughout the test to put a line where you're reading to really focus on some of those questions, because there's going to be some questions like you're going to answer more than one question at a time. So please choose all quadrilaterals, all. So those are things we'll have to look at as we go through the practice test.
Right.
So I'm going to go a little bit faster. You'll be able to spend more time with your students. But
so one thing to think about doing when you do this is maybe do this whole group so that everyone can see it, and then maybe go back in and let your kids individually try. When the kids go in, each time the questions are going to be the same. So really it's getting past the question and more of those test-taking skills. So Each time a child goes in there, just challenging them maybe to try a new tool to see which tools work best for them.
And so, again, what we're trying to strive for is a quality testing environment for our students. That's what we do every time we do the state math testing. So right now, I'm answering this question. I've used my cross out for one of my strategies, and I've answered a question, but I'm not so sure about it yet, so I'm going to flag it and then move on to the next question. As I go through the questions, for example, choose all the shapes that are quadrilaterals. And by saying all, that can be more than one. So you can actually have more than one answer. But I'm going to go to review and end test here to show you something. Before you end the test, it will actually show you which questions aren't answered yet and which one is flagged. So you can actually go back as a student, check it off, and move forward. We would spend more time on this, but actually, because it's a webinar, I need Miss Lawson to actually go and speak about a couple other things. We're going to leave this off the page for now. So, Katie, can you go back to, hang on. Nope. Can you go back to the Smarter Balance right here, and let's talk about more resources.
Yeah, so I recently was able to go to a training, and Dr. Susie Cutbirth, who is actually part of the RPDC in the south western part of our region, shared her wiki space. And so I felt like she introduced me to an activity called Shock and Awe. So I thought it would be helpful to share with you, if you go to her wiki space, this activity. So if you click on this link, then you can go to her.
Which is amazing because Shock and Awe was the nickname for my flag football team in college.
Oh,
yes, exactly.
Flag football in college.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm dating myself now.
Okay, so if you go down here, you'll see at the bottom of this particular page within her wiki site that she has map release items and Smarter Balance sample items, both for third grade. So this whole Shock and Awe activity is just taking a map release item and setting it right next to a Smarter Balance or a grade level assessment sample item so that kids can really see the difference between the two. If you have it as a teacher have not yet had the experience to do that, I would recommend you doing it first, maybe with your grade level team, and then you as a team deciding how you want to present that to your students. But I do think it's really important that our kids understand, especially our 4th and 5th graders who have had the experience with MAP before, that it is very different. Maybe you can talk about what's similar about it, what's different, kind of help getting some of that shock and awe out of the way before the assessment begins.
So definitely, Katie, when they Google Dr. Susie Cutbirth, they'll find this Wikipedia site, and you can go there anytime. And it's and like I say, if it's free, and if it's free, I want 3 because it's great for kids.
Definitely. A wealth of resources for sure. It may be overwhelming to look at it, but just that one particular activity I feel like is worth it. But there's lots of other links on there if you're interested in messing around on a Friday night. Like
exactly. So I think, the last thing you and I were talking about in deep discussion about the performance events for 5th grade. And tell me a little bit about what you and your staff talked about.
So this morning we just wanted to make sure that our teachers were aware that in 5th grade the performance event is not actually only on the device itself. So really the performance event is there's an actual activity, a hands-on activity the kids are going to need to do together as a class, and they're going to actually produce some anchor charts from those. So we just wanted our teachers to be aware that this is part of the assessment. One, we just need our kids to understand their attendance is extremely important, but then also for us to make sure that we are giving kids opportunities to practice things like this. So this performance event is actually talked about as well in the training manual, so make sure you check that out.
Katie, you've done so much today. Thank you so much for sharing what you've done at Lewis and Clark with your 5th grade team. I know that we'll be sending this out on Twitter as always. Last week for Academic Spotlight, I had on Mr. Bill Paluca from Houghton Mifflin. He talked about Go Math. Next week we'll have another guest person. So Katie, again, thank you for coming by Academic Spotlight. I know you're very busy.
Yes,
anything else you want to add?
Nope, I can't wait to see who's on next week.
Well, exactly. So thank you again, and have a great day at LPS. And remember to inspire, invest, and innovate always.